This is Grimm Grinner on all channels.
Hey there, wastelanders.
Don't you fucking quit on me now!
News of violent attack catch you all with as the phoenix rises from the ashes. Welcome to the wastes. Okay, I think I'm good. Wait, has my chair always been at this angle? Oh, whatever. Good evening, wastelanders. This is Grimm Grinner on all channels, and coming at you all with a late night broadcast. Before I continue, just a heads up, I am probably a little bit slurry, as I just came from having drinks with Miss Aliker, Mender, CJ, and a traveler calling himself Webster, who brought with him a whole bunch of news stories from his wanderings in the wastes. Of course, what better time than now to broadcast out what I've heard, while it's still fresh in my brain meats, and I'm not hungover yet. First story concerns an apparent community hidden away, kind of like the farm. But unlike the farm, there's no fun name for this group, or where they're located, or anything like that. Webster says they live out in a hollowed-out old mountain cave, bigger than a small city. Within these caves is a massive hot spring, pumping the place full of warm steam and air, just hot enough to keep you warm even in these cold winters. Get this. Because of the perpetual steaminess in these caves, the entire community is reported to be nudists. Sure, they've got storerooms with clothes and gear and all that kind of stuff for going out and, like, searching for supplies and stuff. But they've also supposedly created their own sort of ecosystem which provides most of what you need. Right down to growing and using all sorts of bioluminescent there we go, fungi and algae and all sorts of stuff like that to keep the place lit up the same as if they had, like, proper power and lights. I don't know about any of you out there, wastelanders, but part of me feels like that last bit might be a bit of a stretch. I mean, they've got to have some sort of power system or something. Bioluminescent plants and the like can only go so far, unless you've been working in a lab, kind of engineering that sort of thing, which would take a lot of power and a lot of tech that, frankly, I think really the only place that has that is the corporations. Wait, unless they're using radiation from the rift. I mean, I've heard all sorts of crazy stuff about people finding ways to use some of that to enhance all manner of things. But that'd be so risky. If they're all nudists, then ugh. I don't even want to think about what may be going on there. Kind of ruins the fantasies we were discussing at the table. Oh well. At any rate, if they're actually out there, it does sound like an interesting community to try and find. I guess as long as there isn't actually a lot of radiation, it might even be a bit of fun. Next up is word of a group of traveling performers called TMB, or the Theatrical Movie Brigade. These folks have been reported traveling around to various settlements and places across the wastes, and performing renditions of movies and shows from the old world. The adaptations are supposed to be pretty spot on, of course, with creative liberties, because we don't have the kind of tech we used to back then. They have been recently sticking around in a settlement to the east, just on a small island just kind of off the coast. I've put on a few dozen productions so far to keep people entertained through the colder months. I mean, I'm hoping that they make it more west when things warm up, since I like to think I have a pretty decent memory for some of those old films, and would love to see how they do the adaptations. Plus, Webster told me about a rumor that sometimes they call on guests to be part of the productions, and in the old world I did fancy myself to actually be a bit of an actor, so I'd love to dust off those skills for an evening. Oh boy. I have not not let loose like this in a while. Okay, last story, we got this, okay. So, last thing we heard from Webster was about something really weird in one of the more southern regions of the wastes. So, the word is that several raider groups have all flocked to the remains of an old theme park that stayed pretty intact after the fall. No idea what caused them all to go there, but they seem to have sort of sectioned the park off based on the different groups, and have developed an odd sort of harmony, like trade agreements and truces and stuff like that. I mean, this would be a dangerous idea, but there's something a bit weirder going on in the park too. It seems like under the surface of all these raiders turning the park into their own kind of city, there's also kind of a cult-like following surrounding the mascots of the park. Some of them wear the mascot costumes, others wear remaining scraps of shop merchandise, all adorned with the various characters plastered all over the place. Not many wastelanders have apparently gone here and made it out unscathed. Sounds like they might have some sort of gauntlet to get in the first place, and from there, you're faced with figuring out where your allegiances lie. So, you can join up with any of the raider groups, each having their own rites of passage, or, if you feel like joining up with some deranged raiders in a bizarre cult, you can go to... I can't remember the name of the place. Something World? I don't know. But, I mean, personally, I wouldn't recommend it for the obvious reasons of it's raiders. But it would be really cool to check out. Oh, God. I really shouldn't have had that last flask of atomic maple. I think that's going to be about it for me tonight, Wastelanders. As always, this has been Grimm Grinner on all channels. See you in the wastes. Welcome to The Wastes is a Wasteland podcast brought to you by Edward Grimm Grinner Hutchinson. Feel free to follow me on all social media and make sure to subscribe so you can hear new episodes as they release. If you like what I do here and want to support the podcast by getting some cool merch, check out my Etsy store. For more information and all the links, check out linktree.com/welcome to the wastes. Thanks for listening.